I'm going to get off my phone because I'm a professional. Welcome to Off Topic with Tim and Matt, our scrappy little sports podcast where we always go off topic. Okay, NHL playoffs are in full bloom, and the big news, Toronto's gone again. As a lifelong Habs fan, nothing makes me happier.
No Canadian teams worth cheering for left in the playoffs.
No, the Edmonton's there.
Like I said, no teams worth cheering
Oh,
for.
somebody's
left in the
bitter
playoffs.
because someone's a Kings
4
fan.
years in a row. Okay,
Someone's
I'm
a Kings
done.
fan. Hey,
Stuart Skinner can't stop
a beach ball until
he faces the Kings. He's like the second coming of Patrick Waugh. What the heck?
Hey, look, I got to put up with the Tampa Bay Lightning
Yeah.
burying my team. You got to put up with the Oilers. I don't want to hear about it.
Well, we got to cheer for the Oilers because they're Canadians. They're the Canucks' number one rival. We're not cheering for the Oilers.
I like the Oilers. I'm an Oilers fan.
I got a huge man crush on Connor McDavid. I love the guy when he plays for Team Canada.
Yeah.
When he's playing for the Oilers, no.
It's like Brad Marchand playing for Team Canada in the Four Nations Cup. All of a sudden, everybody liked him for 4 games. Then he goes back and he's back to being the rat.
Yeah.
My team, Montreal, has no problem shutting that guy down. Ever. They never had a problem. Toronto, yeah, he's your problem, not everybody else's. So, yeah, Leafs are gone. It's always just a joke. I mean, the way the media hypes them up, they've gotten better now. They call Toronto. I was watching On-Right on TSN.
Yeah.
And he's like, so was this a Brad Marchand problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs? And the reporter, God love him, looked the camera straight in the eye and goes, actually, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the Toronto Maple Leaf problem. It's like, thank you. They've changed it around. They've actually started acknowledging that, maybe they're not as good as some of we've been hyped up to believe. But,
Well, they're a good regular season team.
yeah.
I mean, they've got depth. They've got that the pieces there. They're just not putting it together in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's a different season.
It really is.
But it's every year. It's every year. It's not just like they have a bad playoff season and then they push to the conference final and get to the final and blow it in 7 games. They get so pumped up, hyped up. The reporters because Sportsnet, the holding company that owns Sportsnet, owns Maple Leaf, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the reporters aren't even being honest.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, these guys know that this year's different and it's not going to be the same as last year, and they believe in themselves. It's like, no, they don't. They're going to blow it, and they do. And it's so fun to watch.
But it's not like they're getting 4 games swept out either.
No,
like they're going to Game 7. They're fighting. They just don't have that final drive, and I don't know what it is.
It's a psychological thing. They get inside their own heads.
You got like Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, Tavares is there.
Joking, pardon me.
Domi,
Domi.
Yeah. I it's hard to say what the actual issue is there. And I think you're right. I think it's a Leafs. The Leafs are their own problem. They get inside their own heads.
It is. It is. They Toronto media and the Toronto fans pump these guys up so much that they start reading their own press clippings.
Yeah.
And that's what does. And then the pressure gets on, and boom, they just collapse.
Well, and what was it? It was the knockout punch too. It was Game 7, right? Florida wins the series 4-3, but 6-1.
The best joke that came out of that game, someone threw what's his face is not Mitch Marner, the other one, Matthews jersey onto the net and somehow managed to find its way into threw it on the ice, and the jersey managed to get into the Leafs net. Three jerseys on the ice, but only 1 goal, and like, yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know what to say. I don't. Winnipeg made me sad. Dallas looks really good.
Winnipeg's never been a playoff team.
Yeah.
My coworkers from Winnipeg, a huge Jets fan, but he's got a completely different attitude. We had a great regular season. It was a really exciting playoff run. Gave the city a lot of stuff to cheer for. It's a different, it's a different expectation. They've never been a playoff team ever. Like when they were good with Chucky, Dale Howard-Chuck on that.
Yeah.
18 hours down the highway, there was the Edmonton Oilers with Gretzky, Messier, and it wasn't their time, right?
Yeah.
They'll get there. It's just tough in Winnipeg because
they kind of remind me of the Canucks.
Well, people don't want it. Players like to come to Vancouver and play in Vancouver. They don't like doing it in Winnipeg.
No, that's true.
It's
but just they get a good team, they get a good regular season, they get into the playoffs, and they look like they're over their head.
Yeah,
and that's the Canucks every year. Every time they make the playoffs,
it's a sitcom in Vancouver. There's always some drama going on.
Yeah,
Rick Tocchet, I'm retiring, I'm burnt out. Oh, look, I'm going to go to Philly 2 hours later. It's the ownership.
Yeah,
it always starts with the ownership and some problem with the ownership. And something to do with the GM, and some players that just can't control their players or something, and
it's crazy.
And it's and in Winnipeg, it's tough to get really top end talent there because players just don't want to be there. It's a nice community, really good people in Winnipeg, but the city itself, there's just not much there, unless you grew up as a prairie kid. It's not.
Well, they say the busiest place in Canada, departures be at the Winnipeg airport.
Yeah, that's right.
That place is always packed. Everybody's trying to get out of there. So, and so what do you say? So now we got, look at our little brackets here. We got Edmonton and Dallas are 1-1.
Yeah.
And that's looking like a series might go the distance. It's been a barn burner.
Panthers are killing the Hurricanes.
Oh, 3-0. I mean, the Hurricanes just can't figure out how to stop the Panthers. And I mean, someone said to me at the beginning of the playoffs, it's going to be a rematch of last year. You're
Possibility.
Gonna have the Oilers and the Panthers again. And I was like, the Kings aren't letting them get by this year. Fourth year's the charm. Stop watching hockey right after that. Stars I like, though. Stars, I think, are playing really well.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen, I love the fact that he crushed
Toronto or
the Avalanche.
Yeah.
He put in a hat trick to knock them out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
Weird trade, man. Everyone was like, why did you do that?
Well, it was a good trade on Colorado's part to trade him. They weren't going to make the playoffs with him, right? They traded him. The pieces they got them into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay. But he went to the Canes and the Hurricanes. And when they realized that the Hurricanes, he wasn't going to sign on with them, the Hurricanes traded him before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And they ended up doing really well and ended up second in the East, right? So, I mean, it worked out for both teams that traded him.
Yeah.
And now it's working out for Dallas quite nicely.
But he's burning both guys.
Well, no, he won't play the Canes. He won't play the Canes. But he ending up against the Avalanche in the first round was not what they wanted to see.
And then, of course, there's always talk that Mitch Marner has a no-trade clause, and Toronto wanted to trade Marner for Rakkonen.
Yeah.
And Marner gets 0 points, and he has like 18.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Pardon me.
Stars and the Oilers play at noon today. So that, somebody's going to take the lead of the series. It's 1-1, right?
Yeah.
But the Panthers, Hurricanes, the Panthers are just taking it to them. They're looking like the powerhouse they were last year.
Yeah, they haven't missed a beat.
Have not missed a beat. They ended up third in their bracket for the season, but that's where they were last year too. And regular season, they don't care.
Yeah, they get in the playoffs. They save up. They keep themselves healthy, and Montreal, of course, went out in the first round. No one was really surprised that it went 5 games. Being such a young team. But a lot of silver linings out of that series. Demidov really picked it up in the last 2 games. Started really showing a lot of growth.
Yeah.
For a kid who just came to the league and, still learning where to go to his groceries. He played a lot better in the last 2 games than he did in the first couple of games.
Yes. Yeah,
Slavkovsky really started stepping up. They got 5 young kids under 25 that are just really showing strong. Jakub Dobish, the backup goalie.
Yeah.
He's looking strong. Jacob Fowler left, did his last season at Boston College, is in the AHL. They're crushing it in the AHL championship right now.
Yep.
David Reinbacher or Logan Mayo will probably come up next season because David Savard?
Denny?
No, it's not. Not Mark. What is Savard guy? One of the guys retired. Defenseman retired. So the young guys are going to come up. Montreal has 2 picks in the first round, 2 picks in the second, 2 picks in the third. The series exposed 2 things. A, they're inexperienced.
Yes.
It just takes time. B, they're too small up front.
Yeah.
Kirby Dach was supposed to be the big forward center up front. Unfortunately, he cannot stay healthy, and he's just getting knee surgery after knee surgery, and I don't think his career's going anywhere.
Yeah.
So Montreal needs some size and grit up front, and I think they're going to use some of those draft picks to get that.
Yeah.
So and maybe move one of those young defensemen.
Well, and I think they gotta get bigger. I mean, I watched the first game against the Capitals, and they came out and they were scrappy, right? And I think they took it to overtime too. That game, the first game, scrappy as heck, stand up defense, but they were just getting rocked.
Yeah, out hustle and out muscle. That was the first game. And a lot of players said, who had never been in the playoffs before, they didn't realize, you can tell a guy, but until you experience it, it's a different season. It was that much faster and harder than the Caden Gooley's a brilliant young defenseman. He goes, it reminded me of my first day in the league. Yeah. Coming out of the AHL. Like, I was not ready for the speed and the ferocity. The intensity. So, again, it's just experience, right? Mm-hmm. And Marty St. Louis, who's our head coach, is, of course, a skill guy. And everybody loved Marty St. Louis. Had a great QHL junior career.
Right.
Didn't get drafted. Went to the Swiss League for 2 years, and then got picked up as a free agent in Tampa. Yeah. And then went on to 1,400 regular season games. Won the Art Ross twice in the Hall of Fame. Everybody loves Marty.
Love Marty St. Louis.
He's a skill guy. Yeah. So he wants skill, but you need that grit to still win. Yeah. And he made a really interesting comment talking to Elliot Friedman to start the series. They looked at him in his very first playoff game, and he said the same thing. He goes, I didn't realize you had to step up as much as you did to play the playoffs, but I used that and I took that into the following season. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with these young guys taking that lessons learned in that short playoff series if they bring that level they were playing into the next season. Yeah. So they're young. You got to be patient.
And you got to give Davidoff a lot of leeway, a lot of leash here because
he's 19.
He's a kid. Showed up one game, played one NHL game, and goes into the playoffs. Yeah. But he really did look lost in the first couple.
Of course he did.
Maybe the last two games
he showed a lot better.
He started to figure out that he was playing hockey. Yeah. But I mean, I think they really need to ease him in next year.
Oh yeah.
They can't be like, you're the wonder kid.
You know what? And they're doing it. So they took Slavkovsky first overall. Yeah. And they've been just kid gloves. Yeah. Let him develop. They don't put any pressure on him. Yeah. And it takes it's good. It's going to take time. Montreal's got a really good young core. They got some young players. They need to, again, experience, size, and grit. Don't forget, it took the Detroit Red Wings, I don't know how many years, with Scotty Bowman as their head coach and Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov, the five-man Russian unit, to win Stanley Cups. Yeah. It takes a long time. It takes a long time. Well, the Shanny and those guys came on afterwards. When they won it, when they won their first one, a lot of those guys...
I think Shanahan was there. Brett Hull and Luke Robitaille were the second one. Yeah. Shanahan was there for the first one.
Oh, was he? Okay, that's right. They needed grit. They needed leadership. They needed, and they went out and got it, right? Takes time. So Montreal's going to be fine. I was proud of them this season. They got into the playoffs. They played a good series. It went down to 5 games, but it could have gone to 6. They weren't completely blown out, and they'll build on that for next year. So, yeah. And, of course, the Canucks are the Canucks.
Yeah.
So I can't get...
Yeah, because they won them back-to-back years, 96, 97, and 97, 98. And then had a couple years off, won 2001, 2002. That's the one Brett Hull and Luke Robitaille.
A lot of veteran guys wanted to finish off their careers with just playing for Scotty Bowman.
And that was the thing. And, I mean, I think it was really good of the Red Wings to bring on these guys that had all this skill, all this experience, all this talent as depth. Yeah. And they did very well.
Oh, yeah. Brett Hull, who's very outspoken, they asked him about, playing for Mike Keenan. He goes, I have nothing to say. He ruined a million careers. He took pleasure doing it. I hate that guy. And then he asked him about Scotty Bowman. His face just lit up. He goes, playing for him, it was a pleasure. And I just love the guy and blah, blah, blah. So, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
So, anyway, NHL World Championships going on right now. Canada's out. They got bounced by Denmark or something like that. Yeah. I can't get too excited about that tournament because the best players aren't always there.
Well, and it was funny because I read somewhere that because the Canadians got bounced, they were like, okay, well, time to just go home, right? Yeah. And then they were like, oh, wait, we didn't pack any of our stuff. We got to fly back to Denmark, right? With the guys that just knocked them out of the playoffs or out of the tournament, right? So, I mean, it was like one of those things where you're like, oh, man, You know, I got to sit beside this guy that just scored 2 goals on us, where we couldn't score a single one.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Oh, well. And
Yeah,
apparently
Shannon was on that team.
the goalie, the Danish goalie, was a Habs prospect, and they cut him.
Yeah.
And he turns around and burns him, has a standout game against Team Canada. But, I mean, half the best players in the world for Team Canada are still in the NHL. They don't even go. It's a lot. I mean, you've been banged up all season, and then you got to go to Europe. And I'm not crazy about that tournament, but it's more for European players. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's it. All right. So we had a great interview with Colin Boyd, president of Chilliwack Giants football. And we're going to promote that, or are we going to throw that at Wayne?
We're promoting
it.
Yeah, it's on show 1 from today. We're going to be at show 1.
So off topic with Tim and Matt. It's going to be coming up on social media pretty soon, talking about parents taking things a little too serious when their kids are playing. And we need to dial it back a bit. We're all sort of guilty of it, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. And Muay Thai is coming up June 27th. Tickets should go up in a couple of weeks, and I'll make sure that it's Eventbrite, and I'll let you know when those tickets are up. And in Langley. I know you'll be there.
That's a Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
I won't be.
Oh, my God.
I'm camping. It's it's Canada Day camping trip.
Is it?
Yeah, Canada Day's the Tuesday, so we're going from Friday to Wednesday. Yeah, it's our big one. Dang it.
You're missing out. Well, there's provincial is going to be at the end of September.
I want to see that.
That's a BCIT. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Bring out my journalism.
I want to go to this other one that you.
Yeah.
There was a different one we were supposed to go to.
And you didn't show up for that one either.
We didn't make it to that one.
No, you did not. I noticed you weren't there.
Why do you book things on my camping trips?
Make an exception.
Yeah.
It's Muay Thai. It's a great event. It's really exciting to watch.
And
Benny is going to win. His buddy Patrick, they were in Kelowna this weekend.
Yeah.
His buddy Patrick won his fight last night.
Nice. Good for him.
Yeah,
Patrick.
really good, really exciting. And I know Ben's going to win. He's going to win this fight coming up at the end of June. I know it's going to be him.
Yeah.
I got a feeling. He wants it that much more.
And I love the fact that Ben's in there and he's doing it and he's so committed to it. He's working hard. I can't wait to see him fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean.
And the crazy part is my son is pretty chill.
Yeah.
And he's still Ben in the ring. Like he's still the same chill kid in the ring. It's not like he's this alter ego gets in there like he's fighting, he's intense. He's still like completely, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. It's like, really? You just elbowed somebody in the face. Like,
yeah. It's part of the job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I knocked him out.
Yeah. That should be good.
All right.
What else we got? What else we got coming up?
Kelowna?
Kelowna flag football,
Yeah.
June 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. We'll be up there. We're going to do a show live on the Sunday. Are you up this year?
Yes.
Coming up this year?
Yeah.
We're going to do a show live up there on the Sunday.
I'll be there for the Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm
going up. I'm going up for the Friday. Friday's going to be the 7-on-7, so I'm going to try and get some interviews in.
Okay.
With the Corey Philpotts and and
nice.
whatnot that are going to be there with their 7-on-7 teams.
Okay.
Have a chat with them, and I want to get a camera on those.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be exciting. The 7-on-7. It's first year. Inaugural 7-on-7 at the Joe Kluska Invitational
Memorial.
Not Memorial. I was corrected on that one. So that's going to be good. What else we got? Anything else coming up over the next couple weeks? I think that's it. That's it. Next week I've got my fantasy football drafts right after this. So I think we're going to talk fantasy football for a bit.
Sounds good. I've never done a fantasy league.
I
just don't follow it closely enough.
I joined my 9th one this year. I got 9 on the go right now.
The funniest thing about fantasy sports was started in New York City for fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
And you can watch the 30 for 30 documentary. And the funniest thing is the guy that started the league has never won.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one guy commented, it's like Hugh Hefner not getting laid. Like it's just, it's a little more complicated than that, but he's never won.
So the one year I've won, I won a couple of times, but this one group of friends, we have 3 or 4 leagues that we play together. Never won any of them. Come in second a lot of times.
Yeah.
Never. One year I won.
Okay.
And it was marred by the DeMar Hamlin injury in Buffalo.
Okay.
Because the team they were playing, right? Because they had to cancel the game and they never really played the game. The guy I was playing had the running back from Arizona.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So it was like, well, I was leading, and he maybe could have gotten that many. Like he needed a lot of points. Right? Like it would have been his season high on points.
Right.
But he could have done it. but he didn't do it.
Because they called the game.
Yeah, they called it. So we called it a tie.
Yeah.
But I got the championship trophy.
Oh, there you go.
Considered the winner. The money we split 50-50. I got the trophy. So.
That's fair enough. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and comment. Check out that Colin Boyd interview. Thank you for tuning in for Off Topic with Tim and Matt, where we always go off topic.